With sync licensing, there are some genres that just work the best. Guess which ones they are? It's the ones that you can produce the best. I know that's not mind-blowing advice, but it's the truth. See, you might have a narrow lens of the focus of things you do. Let's say you just make hip hop beats and you watch shows that mainly use hip hop beats. But you're blind to the world outside of you, that there's so much other music. Think about all the languages in the world. They have music. You can argue their music is the best, right? You got Bollywood. You can argue that's the best. You got K-pop. You can argue that's the best. But the best is what's the best thing that you can create. When I first started, I did have a niche, right? Everybody around me was producing rap beats. That's all I did. Then eventually, though, I was like, I don't like just making rap. So let me expand to R&B. Then I'm like, I just don't like making hip hop and R&B. So let me do electronic music. Let me do pop music, right? And I just expanded what I know. Now, that's not to say that you need to be an expert in every kind of genre. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want you to all of a sudden to just making rock music, right? It's not going to sound real. What I mean by sticking to a genre, pick subgenres within that genre. So those will be the best. Like for me, let me give you an example. The big genre is hip hop, but the subgenres that I'm also good in is cinematic hip hop for sports, boom bap. And you're probably making a lot of that different music and don't know you're making it. Let's say you're making trap beats. Well, at the same time, you're probably making suspension and drama music. You just don't know it. Let me show you an example. So here's my project and I made a trap beat. Even if you don't make trap, you're still missing out on the fact that you're probably producing more than one genre. You just don't know it. So here is my trap beat. You know, nice, simple, repetitive melody. Nice and dark sounding. Dark pads. All right, you get it. 808s, it has all the elements of trap beats. So when I say you need to make multiple genres, you already are doing that. Let me show you the second example using the same exact sounds. So here is the same project with the same sounds. I didn't change much. Mostly all the instrumentation is kind of the same except for the main piano part. So if you look at, let's just look at the structure. It's more sparse. You notice how in the trap beat, it was more so loop bass, which is fine. And that's the difference between how you're making music for artists and sync licensing. But let's take those same trap elements, the same instruments, the same instrumentation, and make it a suspense and drama. So we start with the piano. That's the same melody. It's just slowed down, right? Then I got the pads coming in soft. Now listen for the kick. It's a heartbeat. So it's still an 808 kick, but it's a heartbeat now. Let's bring everything in. You hear that snare in there? The 808 bass is still there too. Listen to the piano, same melody. There go those hi-hats, but they sound a little different. Then we come to ending the scene. Now, that was a minute track. Now, how dynamic that was versus the other loop. See, it's a big difference. So everything is the same except the piano melody. See, I have different changes, especially when I get to here. It's the same root note. I'm just holding the chords. So it's the same structure. And then the main melody comes back again. It's just a little bit slower. Now, if we listen to the drums, I did add some effects on there to make them a little tension, a little drama, right? Let's listen to the kick isolated. Ooh. Now, we could just play that in a world where everyone gets scared. See? That's the same kick pattern. But what I added was reverb and a delay. Now, if we take it out, now it's just dry, right? But it's the same kick. It just, doing these effects changes the mood. Same thing with the 808. 808 is the same exact pattern from the other trap beat. Oh. Right? Same thing. I added a delay and a reverb. That's the bass. But add these two things. Boy, that's instant tension. Same thing with the snares. Added some effects. So it's not just plain. See? Same snare. And then for the hi-hats, I'm gonna give you a little secret what I use. This ring shifter. They have it in Logic. They might have it in other DAWs. I don't know, but I love this ring shifter because it changes the frequency of the instruments. It just does something. I really like it. A lot of my tracks that I make like this. Let's listen to it without. If I take the reverbs off. See, that's regular trap highs, right? But you hear that phasing? And it just adds some motion to everything. Same trap instruments. And we have those big hits on the downbeat. Now, I didn't do nothing fancy to those because a lot of those kind of big hits, they are actually used in a lot of tension and drama. And if we check at the ending, I have the same exact riser that I use in the trap beat. Right? To end the scene. So I use the same exact elements, and the pads, if we look at the pads down here, all I did was shift them, right? That's a little secret that I learned from, I forgot who I learned it from, but they're not, if you look at here, down here in this dark purple blue, they're shifted. They're not on the grid, but it's the exact same pattern. Nothing has changed. All I did, instead of having this voice right here, where you see typically when you want to line up a loop, I just moved it over just a little bit. So that way, when it's playing one pad, that sound, see, it fades into a different sound. And once we get to this point, you see how it overlaps, right? They overlap. So it sounds like it's different. It doesn't sound like a loop. Trust me, it sounds funny, but when you, instead of having everything on the grid and just off shifting it, it makes it sound like it's one big circle. So you don't know where it stops and starts. And I like that little trick with my pads to keep the scene going, right? So even though if I'm not looking at a scene, I know how they edit, or I know I've done it enough to know that they won't motion, right? So if I just send the track with just the pads, they can stand on their own in a scene with the motion, you know. And the little pluck that's in here too, this little art. See? That's tension. It's holding the resolve. You don't know what's gonna happen. Being able to produce in multiple subgenres will give you more opportunities if briefs come your way, or libraries or shows say, hey, we want this type of music. The two main things that I do is focusing on is hip hop and electronic music. But under electronic music, it's the subgenre of suspense, tension type music. And even though I started with hip hop, my drama music actually pays me more. It's just more popular of what the shows my stuff has been placed on. But my hip hop has been popular too. But I noticed making suspense and tension music gets me more money. And that's probably due to the fact because it plays longer. Usually those cues, those simple drones that you may hear underneath, when it's like drama, someone just staring. You see the eyes moving. It's just like one single note. They usually play those for longer. So that's probably why I get more money with those cues. But those are the genres that I am good at and that I stick to my lane in. Now, I got some homework for you. I know you don't want to do no homework, but that's how you get better. If you're currently just making one genre of music, I want you to search 2 to 4 different subgenres of music. I want you to become like a mini expert in different subgenres. See, my music libraries like the fact that I can create music in different genres. That way I have more opportunities. So instead of being like the old me, where few and far between opportunities come because I only can make one type, now I can take multiple briefs from my publishers and libraries because I can make multiple kinds of music. But if you're still struggling and want to know how to actually make multiple kinds of music and tips with sync licensing, watch one of these videos.